Welcome to Spotlight News. I'm Annalisa Gale.
And I'm Shaquille Brewster. Today's show is a look back at our top stories from the fall 2012 semester.
We'll take you on a tour of Howard University, showing you both off and on campus.
Showing you the highlights from this year's presidential election, homecoming celebration, issues on campus, as well as life off campus.
Howard students paid close attention to this year's election. If there was one highlight from the fall 2012 semester, it was that. And so, many students participated in the election for the very first time.
From helping you understand the election's impact on students to the celebration's election night, Spotlight was there every step of the way. Our reporter Jonquilyn Hill takes us to Woodbridge, Virginia during a visit by President Obama.
President Barack Obama made a grassroots campaign stop in Woodbridge, Virginia this weekend. The event, which took place in Fitzner Stadium, was the president's 13th trip to the battleground state since the official start of the campaign season.
12,000 supporters lined up here to hear President Obama speak about the economy, military families, and student loans.
The president also defended comments he made recently at a presidential forum in Florida.
I said one thing I've learned is that you can't change Washington just from the inside. You change it from the outside. You change it because people are mobilized.
The Romney campaign responded to the remarks, saying the president is admitting defeat. Despite the slight change, faithful supporters still came out in full effect.
I went to the one that he was at over in the fairgrounds for the last time, the night before he was elected, and I got to shake his hand there, and I got to shake his hand again today.
Obama was the first Democrat in 44 years to win Virginia. I'm Jonquilyn Hill for Spotlight Network.
President Obama won Virginia by 3 percentage points.
College students followed the election closely as the rising cost of tuition has been a major concern. Spotlight reporter Shay Parker was there to explain the differences in the candidates' positions on college aid.
President Obama supports increasing financial aid awards and keeping college costs and debt down by eliminating private banks and subloaners. Governor Romney favors the opposite, with privatizing loans and subsidizing college costs. He famously said, "If you run out of money for college, borrow it from your parents." But that isn't an option for everyone. Like Howard University student Corrine Williams, she's voting for President Obama.
He went through that. He went to college. His wife went to college. They had to pay off student loans. So that's a real life thing for him. Mitt Romney woke up and said, "Daddy, I'm trying to go to college," and he had the $1 billion to do so.
William also has faith that President Obama will keep his promise to keep the cost of tuition down.
I believe my president when he says that he will try to work it out so that college students are not too much in debt when they graduate. He experienced that.
WHUR political expert Ray Baker says he's not too sure about that.
President Obama has the best intentions to keep college costs down. However, the way that the market is growing, it's highly unlikely that he will be able to, in fact, do that.
But some students still seem to favor President Obama over Governor Romney on these issues. Republican Brittany Joyner says her vote is about more than money.
Us as Americans, we want to do good in a global community, in a global market. We all need to have more education because that's the problem. We all don't.
As college students gear up for next semester, tuition and the possibility of debt may be a leading factor in deciding their vote. For Spotlight News, I'm Shaylin Parker.
Thank you, Shaylin Parker.
After all the concern about the impact of the election on financial aid, November 6th allowed students to finally cast their ballots. Siobhan Anderson gives us a look at how hundreds of Howard students spent their election night.
The Howard University 2012 election watch party took place in the Blackburn Ballroom from around 9 p.m. until well after midnight. Hosted by a slew of organizations, including CUSA, the NAACP, and the Hilltop, food, a DJ, and a giant television, live streaming news outlets NBC and CNN kept the students entertained during the more than 4-hour event.
More than 1,000 Howard University students gathered in the Blackburn Ballroom in favor of President Obama. However, many of those students were worried as President Obama trailed Mitt Romney into the late evening.
I was nervous at first, but right now I feel like he has this.
By 11 p.m., Obama led Mitt Romney 249 to 203. But waiting was the hardest part. The election was still too close to call in Florida, North Carolina, and Ohio. However, students were hopeful.
my home state, Pennsylvania, which was a swing state, turned out Democratic. So now all we need is Ohio, and it's the second term for President Obama.
And Ohio, he won. The crowd erupted when President Obama crossed the threshold of 270 electoral votes shortly before 11:30 p.m., leading Mitt Romney 274 to 203.
I just got done crying, called my mom. So as a student organizer who was helping to register students, this is amazing. To know that we had a part in this entire election is just humbling. It's great. I don't know what else to say.
Shortly afterward, Howard University students marched down to the White House, where they celebrated for the rest of the evening. For Spotlight Network, I'm Siobhan Anderson.
Exit polling shows that young voters made up 19% of the electorate. That's up 1 point from 2008.
Coming up later in the show, Howard students talk about some of the struggles they faced on campus.
But first, from the football game to the fashion show, Spotlight Network gives you team coverage of this year's homecoming festivities. That's next.
I'm Sandra Fry. I'm a union bus driver, and I'm also a mom. During 17 years with Greyhound, I've covered over 2 million miles. My job is to safely bring families together. I love the open road, but I never forget that a drowsy or careless driver could be right around the next curve. Drunk driving is the deadliest of all. As a mom and as a bus driver, I have a message for you. If you drink, don't drive.
During the fall semester, Howard Homecoming is one of the biggest events in the Washington, D.C. community.
This year we had a surprise performance from rapper Drake, but that was not the only event on the homecoming lineup.
Kicking off this year's homecoming festivities was the first ever Dream Day event hosted by the Young Dreamers movement.
Special guests included Vanessa and Angela Simmons, Farnsworth Bentley, and blogger Nicole Bitchie.
Spotlight reporter Grace Woody spoke to our celebrity guests and the attendees to find out exactly what they thought of the event.
I don't care how many no's you get, because you will get them. All you need is one yes.
There's going to be discouragement. There's going to be times where you feel like you're, hitting a wall and you're not going anywhere, but it's just always wise to just keep going. It's about staying focused and staying focused.
If you don't, you kind of failed already, if you get what I'm saying. Like if I have this big dream and idea, but I'm so scared to even try it, then I failed because I didn't even try. So that's what I want them to take away from this.
They really were able to convey to people how they can achieve their dreams, and I've heard time and time again that you need to write down your goals in order to accomplish them in the future. So I thought that was a good way to convey this to college students.
The Young Dreamers movement plans to bring another event to Howard University next year.
Every year, students look forward to getting dressed for the homecoming events. The Howard Homecoming Fashion Show is big among the student body. Spotlight reporter Jobina Fortson has more on this year's R&B artist Elle Warner, who performed at the fashion show while models strutted the runway.
The 2012 Homecoming Fashion Show, sponsored by AT&T, took a different approach this year and only did one show.
I think it's better this way. I think it definitely takes away from the tradition of homecoming, but I think the first show, in a sense, was useless. Having 400, 500 people doesn't beat having a sold-out show and actually selling tickets.
The operations assistant of productions and other homecoming staff members say that the show consisted of much more than it has in the past.
Well, we have more to incorporate. We also had an artist, so that's why we chose to do it.
Students who had modeled in the show last year thought doing one show was a better idea just because it was so nerve-wracking doing two.
It's a whole different type of, pressure in our homecoming fashion show. Like last year, I had me and Daily Gunner, who's in the show this year, had to stand at the end of the stage for the whole first scene, and that was like 15 minutes just standing there with our shirt off, just standing. So after that was over, it was like anything was a cakewalk after that.
Even though the homecoming committee decided to make one show this year, the students seem really excited, and the homecoming spirit is continuing. Reporting for Spotlight News, I'm Jobina Fortson.
The theme of the event was Nouveau Rich, renewing the standard of class.
Howard University battled Morgan State in the homecoming football game. Spotlight reporter Julie O'Neill was there to capture the touchdowns at Green Stadium.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is AJ Calloway, and you're watching the Spotlight Network.
Students, families, friends, and alumni came out to support the Howard University football team, host the Morgan State Bears in Green Stadium.
This is my first year at Howard, so I was really excited to experience homecoming.
My son's Tony Whitlow, number 33, and I'm just so proud today.
I'm glad I got to come to the game. A great turnout.
I haven't missed a homecoming since I've been here. Go Bison! Woo! My homecomings weren't this good. Howard is all right.
President Sidney Rabeau and wife Paula Rabeau, 93.9 radio personality Angie Ange, and former co-host of 106 in Park, AJ Calloway, gave details of their homecoming experience.
Exciting, exhilarating, makes you proud of Howard University, of our legacy, our tradition, and the bright future that we have.
It's truly been legendary. This year goes down in the books.
I mean, there's nothing like Howard homecoming.
The fans are excited. The Howard University football team just defeated Morgan State 21-20 during their homecoming football game. But the Howard players are more focused on their long-term goal.
We can't let it keep getting us close, so we got to win.
It's always good to win. It's always great to win homecoming in front of the alumni and just keep that momentum going.
It's a big game because we had lost last week and it kind of bumped us back. Now we're back in contention for the championship run.
I'm Julie O'Neill reporting from Spotlight Network.
Homecoming is not just an exciting time for current students, but many Howard alums come back for the celebration. Coming up, we have the latest on what students did to prepare for this year's pageant.
And later in the show, we take you to one of Howard's off-campus hotspots.
Our nation's future depends on what we do today to prepare our young people for productive and fulfilling lives. All of us need to get involved to help kids stay focused and stay in school. We must become a nation of graduates. One way for you to help is to volunteer as a mentor. Think of a mentor as a guide, someone who is there to listen, to offer encouragement, and to help a young person stay on the path to success. Each of our children has hopes and dreams for their future. Help them get there. Become a mentor.
The Spotlight Network is the only student-run network here on the campuses of Howard University.
Spotlight?
Spotlight Network, yep. It's an on-campus student run.
Just happens to be called Spotlight?
Bringing coverage relevant to you, the student. Look for us on campus, on the web, at husln4.com. Follow us on Facebook and like our page. Check us out on Twitter at SLNTV_4. By the way, have you been spotted by Spotlight?
Yo, what's happening? It's your Royal Highness Angie Edge, representing 93.9 WKYS, the School of C at Howard University, alumni, and I've been spotted by Spotlight.
This is Lamont Rucker, and I've been spotted by Spotlight.
We've been spotted by Spotlight. We are Mr. and Miss Howard University, and we've been spotted by Spotlight.
Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Laz Alonso, jumping a broom and infamous, and I've been spotted by Spotlight. I've been spotted by Spotlight.
Who's going to win the game?
Hate you. You know.
Welcome back to Spotlight News. At the beginning of the fall semester, the most important thing for most students was finding housing.
With the spring semester approaching, students are reassessing their housing situations. Spotlight reporter Michelle Rashad shows us how the search for housing is not easy.
Housing is a major problem for students who want to live off campus in Washington, D.C. Many students define their search for housing as the struggle. Dominic Dockery is a senior international business major. His lease has expired. He's on the search to find a new home, but keeps running into scams.
We've been running into a lot of different scams and just people who want money but don't really own the places and everything like that. So
Dockery continues to look for housing, but hasn't had much luck. Luck almost ran out for senior Victoria Pope, who was forced to live off campus after her honors housing fell through.
That maybe I wouldn't even be coming back to school this semester because I wouldn't have enough money to actually live in D.C. So it kind of stressed me out over the summer.
After planning to live in the University Town Center, Pope canceled her lease when she heard there would no longer be a campus shuttle.
And without Howard providing the shuttle services, Plus the rent, it would cost me over another $120 a month more to stay in UTC.
But once she heard there would be a shuttle, her problem was fixed.
So then I got my lease back with UTC, and I'm living here, and they provide a shuttle to Howard now.
Prairie Anderson was having an important meeting at her summer internship when she learned UTC was evicting her.
Kind of frantic call from my roommate telling me that, hey, your stuff's gone. And at first I thought she was joking because I kind of joke like that sometimes. And she was like, no, your room's bare. They took everything out.
But she was able to get the situation under control.
They finally got a hold of me and they told me what was going on. And currently we're still working out the issue that is at hand.
To avoid off-campus housing issues, students should always start early, ask questions, and be patient. You can also visit www.howard.campuspartners.com. This is Michelle Rashad for Spotlight Network News.
And for students planning to remain on campus next year, the Office of Residence Life is now collecting the mandatory $200 housing deposit. The deadline to pay that is February 1st.
Housing is not the only concern for students next semester. A new semester will bring new classes, and with that, the purchase of new books. Spotlight reporter Tiffany Malone spoke with professors and students about those required and expensive textbooks.
With the 12% increase in tuition this year, high textbook prices are becoming an increasing problem on campus among Howard students.
3 of my textbooks cost over $90 this semester, and I was extremely outraged.
In class, teachers are saying, buy books, buy books, buy books. And I'm saying, oh, you got the 200, you got the 300 to buy the books, I can't afford it.
These expensive prices are pushing students to find alternate ways of accessing their required textbooks.
It was just better off for me to buy used books online, and the 3 books that I had left, I just had to make a do without them.
I did buy books this year, just not at the bookstore.
Some students feel as if textbooks aren't as important as professors make them out to be.
Maybe I was a little naive, but they told us that we needed the books, and if we didn't, then it would be bad and you won't pass the class.
Admonish professors who will ask students to buy 7, 8, 9 books and then end up not using half of them. I have a problem with that.
But some professors do not agree.
People need to think of the book as part of the cost of the course. It's not just the tuition, it's tuition plus text.
Students have come up with their own ways to beat the cost of textbooks.
I asked people around, and people are very friendly and genuine to give me their books.
I buy the books from Amazon.com, eBay, try to find it somewhere cheaper online.
For those students who cannot afford to purchase textbooks, make sure to talk to your professors to get alternate options. This is Tiffany Malone, Spotlight Network.
According to the Department of Education, the average student spends between $700 and $1,000 per year on textbooks.
As we continue our look back at our stories from this semester, we remember all the hard work that students put into, whether it is in the classroom or on the stage. Spotlight reporter Jasmine Hines got an exclusive look into how students prepare to compete for the chance to represent their schools.
On a scale from 1 to 10, I would give you a 2. Okay, so now you just know what you need to work on.
It's that time again. Students from various schools of Howard University are preparing for the pageants that will crown the winners who will make up the Royal Court.
Mr. and Mrs. Coas, first and foremost, they should represent the College of Arts and Sciences.
Spotlight Network was able to get a behind-the-scenes look at the College of Arts and Sciences preparation for the big event.
I believe that pageants give you a chance to understand yourself better. You understand what level of endurance you can reach, how well you are with taking criticism from people.
Fine arts student Brianna Morris gave the contestants a few pointers.
Every time you talk, you want them to be linking on your every word.
Contestant Terrell Mills tells us why he feels pageantry is important, not only for Howard University, but for the DC community as well.
Being able to create a platform and enact it allows you to bring the Howard University students together, one, allow them to incorporate their platform on a community, which brings ties together between those two.
Terrell still has his reservations about the big day.
I'm most nervous, I would say, about the audience. You know, Howard is always a tough audience to impress.
Contestant Callie Wilder encourages students to become involved in the world of Howard University pageantry despite their fears.
Really just have faith and believe in yourself.
I'm Jasmine Hines, and this is Spotlight Network.
Winners of each school's pageant go on to compete for the title of Mr. and Miss Howard University in the spring. When we come back, we'll take you on a trip to look at some of Howard's off-campus hotspots.
Stay tuned for more of Spotlight's top stories from this semester.
We used to get together every week. She's been home from her last deployment for months now, and I haven't seen her once.
He's just been different since he got back from Iraq. One minute he's ready to go, and the next he doesn't want anyone around.
The nightmares are back and seem to be getting worse. Shouldn't he be sleeping better after all these years?
A lot of people don't understand what veterans go through during their service or when they come back. And that's okay.
But everyone can help.
You can make a difference in the life of a veteran.
You stood by us when we were in uniform. So stand by us now.
Like my brother did. And he wouldn't take no for an answer.
Like my wife did when she asked the right questions.
Like my friend did when she made the call.
Stand by them. They stood by you. Visit veteranscrisisline.net.
Welcome back to Spotlight News. Now we take you off campus to see what a few local businesses are doing in our community.
Howard Deli is a family-owned business that has been on Georgia Avenue serving the D.C. community for years. Spotlight reporter Jasmine Thomas has more on the current owner and how he runs the popular hotspot for many Howard students.
63-year-old Kenny Gilmore took over the business in 1988, but he's been working in the shop since he was 4 years old.
And my job was to move those little boxes over and have a wet sponge and wipe up, dust and everything, and then put the stuff back. That was one of the things that I did.
Gilmore is a native to D.C. and grew up on the east side of Georgia Avenue. Gilmore is the oldest of 5 children and grew up in a one-bathroom house with his parents, siblings, and grandparents.
Made the best out of it because you do everything like on a schedule, And as a child, you learned, you were taught in those days that you were a child. You were to be seen and not heard. You spoke when you were spoken to. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That was it.
Having grown up in an efficient household gave Gilmore all the skills he needed to help him run the shop.
People come in and they have somewhere to go. People going to class, people going to work, so we try to be as efficient as we can, getting them in and getting them out.
The deli serves everything from bacon, egg, and cheese croissants to pulled barbecue pork sandwiches. Both college students and Washingtonians don't hesitate to stand in line on their busiest days just to chow down on a home-cooked meal.
It's always good. I always get breakfast sandwiches and stuff. What's your say about Howard Deli or Kenny?
Go eat there.
Gilmore remembers growing up in D.C. in the 50s and 60s when his family struggled with finances during segregation. He thanks his mother for teaching him how to stand on his own and give back to his community.
And then later on, when I got older and began to work, putting some money into my mother's hands, helping my mother with my brothers and my sisters, that was good stuff because, she was a good woman. Absolutely.
For Spotlight News, I'm Jasmine Thomas.
Thank you, Jasmine Thomas, for that story.
For some people, inspiration goes a long way. For a successful businesswoman in Capitol Hill, her motive is not only to inspire, but to provide help for young women who are looking for it. Spotlight reporter Nadia Richardson takes a look inside where her inspiration comes from and her motive.
Born and raised in the Washington, D.C. area, Dorian Bean Lipscomb calls Capitol Hill home.
I felt like this was the right place to be because they have such a strong sense of community.
Growing up, she wanted to be a school teacher, but instead found her calling in a school program that landed her a job.
It was called a stay-in-school program, and you would go and they would get you a government job.
The stay-in-school program also offered business classes, which encouraged Bean Lipscomb to take on a business management aspect in her career, a different path from the government.
I did the business management and setting up for salons as far as their business structure.
Her newest venture is Boutique on the Hill, a boutique on Capitol Hill that sells exclusive jewelry and clothing for women.
I've been providing women with that little help that they need to go with their everyday, because women tend to not know how to dress, or they're afraid of the trends.
Aside from business management, Being Lipscomb really tries to inspire young women.
So I really try to help them understand that if they focus on their goals now, the rewards at the end.
Her being personable, she just has that attitude that draws women in, where they can feel comfortable with expressing themselves and talking to her.
She really inspires all the girls around here, you know. She's a really nice person, interact with us and everything.
Being Lipscomb's ability to inspire young girls comes from her mother.
My mother was really good at what she did, and I knew I wanted to do the same thing. Every day I try to get really driven and, in the thought process of, let's make this work, because it's not about making money, it's about being successful.
For Spotlight Network, I'm Nadia Richardson.
According to the State of Women-Owned Business Report, more than 8.3 million women own their own businesses.
Oohs and Ahs is another restaurant that Howard University students like to visit. Spotlight reporter Brianna Pitts has more on the dedicated chef behind this U Street restaurant that is famous among Howard students.
Aji Abbott, aka Chef O, launched his restaurant in 2003.
And nobody was really cooking, soul food the way that I wanted it, and the way that my friends wanted it, the way other people I knew wanted it. And I thought that, if it's not there, why not provide it?
Chef O knew he wanted to cook food from the time he watched his grandmother in the kitchen, because cooking was not just a job for him.
If you're doing something that you love to do every day, you're not working. You're doing what you love to do.
A few years ago, Oohs and Ahs was featured on the Food Network. Celebrity guests also stop in from time to time, but the local customers are what drives Chef O.
They come in with a frown, they leave out with a smile. And it feels good for people to say, you know what, I'm really happy. Thank you so much. Really, provided something I needed today. And that means the most to me.
If his intent is to have you feeling good when you leave here after you ate, he's done it. You really don't crave for nothing else after you get it here.
Whenever we work together, he's making some type of joke. He's like the in-house comedian.
In 15 years, Chef O hopes to expand Oohs and Ahs into a franchise restaurant to expose more people to his soul food cooking. For Spotlight News, I'm Brianna Pitts.
There are approximately 18 soul food restaurants in Washington, D.C. We hope you enjoyed our roundup of stories for the fall 2012 semester.
Be sure to join us next semester with the latest news from campus, as well as what's going on around the Howard community. I'm Annalisa Gale.
And I'm Shaquille Brewster. Happy holidays and best wishes to you and your family in the new year.